This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right, it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
it's now time for the show.
Dr. Daniel Knowles here for this next installment of the Mile High podcast. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are, whatever altitude you are at, whatever continent, city, state, but you know we're at Mile High altitude, 5,280 feet, and we encourage you, number one, to hit subscribe. You never want to miss any Mile High tick, whether it be Spotify or iTunes or whatever channel it's on, YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss any Mile High tick. And you also know, without a doubt, you want to be at the next live edition of Mile High. Rise up to Mile High 13. Don't be scared. Don't be scared because it's 13. Just make sure you rise up to milehigh.com. That's where you can get all the details. And we know that's where Dr. Patrick's going to be. And right now, we are doing the Mile High podcast with the extraordinary, my good, dear friend, Dr. Patrick Martens, who has joined us as an MC 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, a bunch of years.
Bunch of years.
Yeah. Graduate of Life West, has worked side by side with us at Network Wellness Center in Boulder. A phenomenal chiropractor, phenomenal friend. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Patrick.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here and add value to whatever's going on.
So first of all, let's just get people to know you. What's the person inside the brain of Patrick Martens? I know that might be scary, but like, what's the person inside? Like, so how did you find your way into chiropractic? You found your way somehow to Life West and graduated, but how did that become part of Dr. Patrick's journey?
That's a great question. How did I find chiropractic in general?
Yeah.
Other than like it found me, like it found everybody else. I feel like so I was a musician. I was playing drums. How much time do you got? That's a whole story in and of itself. It feels like a past life, and one that very much the lifestyle of it burns the candle at both ends. So up early, stay up way late. Sometimes you're staying up later than you're waking up early the next morning, if that even makes sense. And networking in such a way that is not so conducive to living a healthy lifestyle. And sometimes, the less you remember the night before, the more likely the person's going to work with you in the future. And so stressed myself out, ran into some troubles, and got to experience firsthand, fast forward several years, what it's like to have a healthier nervous system when it's well taken care of, and just grew a passion to helping other people live a life through a more clear and connected nervous system, unlike I was previously.
So then somewhere along the way, you learned that chiropractic was more than the spine. You know, it's more than back, neck, whatever you thought it was. Where along the way did you click that, wow, there's something more to this?
Because I do remember the first time I was in a backyard at a bonfire, and I was like, I know I want to help people. I don't really know how. I just know I want to help people because I needed help and people helped me. And when someone whispered, "Oh, have you ever thought about being a chiropractor?" My first answer was, nope. Because I really just thought, I was like, oh, I crack my sister's back all the time. And I already know how to do that, and I don't really need to go to school to know how to do that. And wow, and then you just send somebody a check in the mail. Yeah, that doesn't sound very great to me. And so that was my impression of chiropractic before. Again, fast forward, the same person who whispered that in my ear at a backyard bonfire told me to go and start shadowing one to see what it's about. And I was amazed when I was like, oh my God, this is not at all what I would thought it was.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And people were excited to see the person. Everyone who came into their office was like giving them a hug and telling them like about their weekend, about their day, about their goals and what they have and they're going on in their life. And they were excited to be a part of that for one another. And I was like, oh, okay, chiropractic, all right. It's something more than what I thought it was, that's for sure.
Right, right. Was there, now you were at Life West, was there a particular instructor that like impacted you or influenced you?
At Life West?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, at Life West, my favorite instructor, two of them, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Dr. Mo and Dr. Mac because they were amazing instructors. Like talk about like the world's best teachers, some of the world's best people, and they just really lifted me up on multiple levels when I was there. That's for sure.
Cool, cool.
Mhm.
So then fast forward, somewhere along the way, you found network. Okay, let's say
Yeah.
that's pit stop along the way. Again, to
Oh,
meet Dr. Patrick. How did network impact you in terms of your thought process, philosophy, science, art, taking care of people, something in that?
oh, wow. Well, I feel like I was always inspired by actually, my wife Katie had like one of those like very first adjustment, just like chiropractic miracle stories. Uh, that was like what got me to go to chiropractic school because I
Right.
saw what it did for her, and along with like seeing how excited people were in that office, like her life turned around in one adjustment, and I was just like, oh man, okay. But for me, actually, it was like two-thirds of the way through chiropractic school, right around that time where you're like, what did I get myself into? And again, I was burning the candle at both ends. I was president of multiple clubs, and waking up super early. I was one of the clubs, met at 6 a.m. And then I would drive back up to Oakland, which is not that far, maybe about a 30-minute drive, at the end of every day, which would usually end around like 9 or 10, and then you're either cram studying or whatever, and repeat, rinse and repeat. And I was burning myself out at that time. It was like right when you're entering clinic, so you're taking care of people, and I needed to take a quarter off of school
Uh-huh.
because well, yeah, long story short, I actually ran into some mental health troubles again. It was like some resurfacing from the music rock star days, like
Uh-huh.
had some mental health struggles and really needed to take a quarter off. I had the short story. I had truancy issues after the first week of school because I missed too many classes, and uh, I was maybe thinking I don't know if I wanted to do chiropractic anymore because
Uh-huh.
while I had witnessed the chiropractic miracle story and people healing, like I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting adjusted more and I'm getting more stressed out the more I get adjusted. And I just thought that was like as long as I'm getting adjusted, I could stay up late and wake up early and burn the candle at both ends and do a million things and I would be fine as long as I was getting adjusted more. And I was about to leave school because I just didn't quite, and I don't like saying certain things in chiropractic don't work.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but the type of chiropractic care that I was receiving in that time period, I just felt like the people I was taking care of, I was like, I can't help but feel like they need something else. And
Okay.
there's one lady in particular who struggled with a lot of mental health things herself, and she was terrified of anything that was like popping and cracking and twisting and anything like that. So we were just using like a drop table very gently, like barely doing anything like with her spine, and I was just like, I can't help but think to myself, I need like she needs something else. She needs like something I don't know how to do.
Right. Right.
And that was right around the time where I had to take a quarter off of school anyways. And his name's Alec, Dr. Alec, Boulder native actually.
Oh, well.
uh, yeah, he was like, "Hey, how about before you like run away and quit chiropractic school, how about you get under care?" Like, in fact, he helped me pay for like the first month or whatever it was of care, and he's like, "Just don't ask a lot of questions because it's going to be very different from everything else that you have learned and experienced. Just don't ask a lot of questions. Go receive and and then tell me that you're gonna quit chiropractic school." And
Wow.
and here I am. That was wonderful. Another shout out. That was Dr. Jeannie Kakazaki's office
Mhm.
that he sent me to, and she's a game changer. And
Got it.
that was a
Well, then
life
that changed your
changing.
trajectory. Um,
Yep.
Before we go into, you ended up in our world in Boulder, Colorado, Mile High. So you used
Yeah.
lots of different chiropractic things. So just say chiropractic things, the whole spectrum, probably.
Yeah.
And then you had never attended Mile High. You're working in our chiropractic office. What struck you about Mile High the first time you attended?
Oh. Uh the first time I attended was maybe a unique experience because it was 2020.
Right.
was was my first Mile High, so 2020 vision Mile High. And
When we got
it
thrown out of
was,
the hotel and all that stuff, and
yeah, all the interesting things going on there. I think the cops showed up at least once.
yeah, yeah.
Uh yeah, anyways.
But what was
The
the light that showed through that?
That so through that, I felt like, wow, this is really a place where docs from all over the world uh come. It was almost like a, not, I don't want to say reunion, but kind of, because it was like a place where people can come together and connect, and they were like, "Hey, what do you got going on? What have you been working through? Like, what's your office like in 2020 right now?" And so it was like a place to like recharge, and that was in alignment with the principles and the philosophy, and it was like just the version of chiropractic that I felt like coming home.
Excellent, excellent. Now fast forward, okay, Mile High non-COVID year, right? Non
Yeah.
2020. What did you notice about it next?
Just the value that it brings. There's so many valuable speakers. It's like there's not a minute to waste, right? Like, it's like every single minute on stage is jam packed with value, and
Mhm.
it's actually really fun now being more involved in some of the behind the scenes things, uh, like, because otherwise I'd be feverishly like filling up notebooks with like what's like trying to write down everything people say, because everything that they share is like, you got docs with decades of experience from all different walks of life and all different viewpoints. And whether it be on the business, you have like business experts. If it's philosophy, you have like philosophy chairs of schools and philosophy chairs of departments all over the country. If it's the art, you have like some of the best adjusters on stage on the planet. And and you know what I mean? It's like the science, like you got people who are like doing research and writing books on the science of chiropractic. So you have like the world's experts in all walks of life on on the stage and bringing immense value to everybody in attendance.
which is just awesome. So
Yeah.
now, fast forward a little bit more, you had the opportunity to be MC for Mile
Yes.
High. So
Yeah.
what was that experience like for you?
Uh, awesome. Uh, it's so much fun being an MC
And
and
by the
being
way, I'm going to interrupt you. Say you just shined so big as being an MC this past year. You just knocked it out of the park. Okay,
ah
it was so fun having you on stage. But sorry I interrupted you. So what was your experience like being an MC?
oh, I mean, it's just fun. It's kind of like, look at this awesome thing, everybody. Like, it's so cool. And in fact, like, I'm gonna do my best to get off the stage so the thing can just keep going because it's so awesome.
Um,
Like stay where you are and let's go to the next thing because get ready.
yeah.
I don't even know if you know if you're ready or not yet until we
So
go.
so so with that, you've been how many years? So 2020, so 24 years. Was there
20.
a particular speaker or
Yeah.
a couple of speakers that shined, right? Which doesn't mean that you didn't like others, but were there a couple one that like, wow, that really hit you from any of the years?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So I've been to 5 Mile Highs now, and oh my God, I don't know if I can pick just one. I mean,
Well, pick a couple. Like these are some
okay.
of my favorites. Yeah.
I mean, okay, like gotta pay homage to Dr. Donnie Epstein and you on stage and Richelle on stage. Like, gotta pay homage to those. Like, those are amazing, amazing talks. Don't miss those.
Well, thank you.
And I'm like, okay, so like Dr. Ryan Ryder, like just, and then having him and Dr. Patrick Jim Tempo back to back, and like two very different speakers with insane value, and also Dr. Frank Bott, like I was just like, I just wanted to like scream the entire time he was on stage. I was like, wow, like what, how much energy can you bring, and how much certainty and value can you bring to
He brought some
one?
fire, didn't he?
He's got some fire. Like, so that was quite a trifecta, those three. Uh
And you had
I
never seen Patrick Tempo before, so that was
that
special.
was the first time I heard him speak, and I can't believe that sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but he just like he has like, you could hear a pin drop in that room, and
Yeah.
he's not shouting. So like Dr. Frank Vaught and Ryan Ryder, like high energy, like Dr. Ryan Ryder's like going up and down the aisles. And but Dr. Patrick Jim Tempo is just like, he's like a sage on stage. A sage on stage. He's just kind of just like, hey, what's up, guys? And it's hard. I can't even like emulate it. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So now,
So
5 years into being a chiropractor, is it five, four? A couple
yeah,
years into
five.
being a
In
chiropractor,
yeah.
what's something that now like, this was such a gift to practice and care for people. What's something that you like, this is what's so rewarding about or taking care of people your first 5 years in?
Uh, uh, delivering on the promise that chiropractic has to offer humanity,
Uh-huh.
and and feeling like I'm part of something that's a lot bigger than me.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And how, I mean, every single moment counts. Like, whether it's one thing you say, one adjustment, one contact that's being held, and how that ripples out into the trajectory of every single moment of that person's life,
Right.
from the moment they get off the table to the next person that they meet, such and such and such. Like, it's valuable.
Now, what are some lessons that, like, man, I learned this during that first 5 years? I know you have pages and pages of notes. But what are some
Boxes.
lessons that, like, this is something that, I learned in being in practice that was just,
Mm.
in, you know, in, impactful?
Uh, one of the biggest things I learned is that I value systems. and I really value it's almost like kind of comparing to music, if I can for a moment. It's like with the drums. So I learned how to play drums, and it's like you learn every single note. I would slow music down so you're hearing like boom, right? And so you like you memorize every single note, you learn everything, you read everything,
Uh-huh.
and then so that you can play and so that you can like have freedom in flow and you can like just be a musician. So same thing with systems. It's like you have a system, you learn, you memorize like what to you have rules and you have exceptions. You learn how to handle every single rule and then every single exception, what to do in this situation. What are my bullet points that I'm going to say at the view box? Like how you have a plan.
Right.
And if the plan is really planning, then you're serving at a high level and then you master the plan, you refine the plan, you get better and better and better at the plan so that you can comparing the analogy so that you can flow and you can play in it, right? Like you can dance you can dance with the plan that you've mastered and refined and recreated so that people can be their best selves.
That's really a great analogy, and that's one I never thought of, and I'm going to use it. Okay,
Yeah.
but I'll credit you. But that it's like you, because as a musician, right? You have to learn the song, you have to learn the beats, you have to do, but then you might change that for an audience, for a different rhythm, a set that you're doing together then becomes alive in some different way, right? But a chiropractic, oh, I'm just going to go adjust. But if you just like bang the drums in like some kind of random way, it may not sound as good,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But same thing, like you were definitely not a systems person when I met you.
No. I think I had like an inkling that maybe a system would possibly be valuable when I met you. But I was like, what, you want me to memorize like a script? Like what? What are you talking about? I don't, come on.
Well, I guess you have to memorize songs.
Yeah, totally. And it's
Right.
it's very it's a lot like that.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. So that's a great one to use. But now you've learned that systems make a difference in a practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just for the practice, the finances, the business, but for the people.
Oh, yeah, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's lives that are on the line. Like actually I'll say in my earlier parts of learning the systems, I'll never forget actually. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a gentleman who came in and I was probably like, I don't know, 60 or 70% on like my day one getting it down. Not to say I'm 100% right now. I'm always
Well,
at
you're
99,
you're
right?
on the path, right?
I was on the path, yeah. And
You're polishing on the way up.
absolutely. And he just his tests and his images, it was just like, wow, this nervous system really needs some help, right? And he ended up like deciding, okay, like nope, not for me or whatever. And as we know, day one and day two, everything about their experience in the office and your systems contributes to their decision that they're making. And he walked out of the office and he stepped into like, I don't remember, I think it was like some kind of Ferrari convertible something like high-end car, and you like put your hand there on me and you're like, hey, I want you to look out the window right now and just get a visceral memory feeling of like kind of what it's like to have that. Money was not that guy's issue, you know. He just didn't see the value in the care and what it
Right.
could do and what it could add to his life. And that's all part of the systems, you know. And if the systems are in place and if they're dialed, like if he came in now, he'd be starting care. So anyway.
Well, just polish it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what about like systems? So that's like conversions. What about systems, you know, day to day, so that you can focus on people? You're talking about the adjusting shifts.
Oh, wait, you mean like systems
How
for
the systems also, like, that's like conversions and all that, but like for you to serve people in the shift, how does
oh,
that impact that?
everything is just refined and dialed. Like if you have you know people who come in and like they just drop their shoes anywhere and they're like their coats are hanging all over the place and they're like, wait, what do I do? Where's the face paper? Like, you know what I mean? It limits your ability to be able to serve at a higher level
Right.
for like when things are just well dialed. People know like, okay, well, this is where I get my face paper. This is where I put my shoes. I know I'm kind of generalizing it in a very silly way, but when it's even down to like, okay, well, I know that you're going to have a re-exam today. So because there's a system for that and there's ways of tracking all of those things, and you can help keep people on track for their success and for their goals when you have those systems in place. And it's just a well-refined, it's like a machine, but it's just a well-refined system for people to really get out of care what they're wanting.
Right. And then really the systems are at the end of the day are about, you know, the person, and
Yeah.
that, you know, they're there so that people can, you know, the rules of your ballpark are there so that people can receive care. So you can have more people on more tables more often. And if it didn't have that at all, and you need to have chaos, you need to have fun, all right?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can ride the chaos better and make the most out of it when there is coherence in the chaos.
Yes. And when everyone's on the same page, it's like the system actually, I never wanted a system once
I
upon a
know
time. Because,
that.
because I thought that it was binding and limiting but actually the system very much sets you free.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and creates freedom.
Yeah,
Yep, for
yeah.
you to serve at a high level.
Well, you know, I have to say, I've really enjoyed watching you polish on the way up.
Hmm.
And I'm going to be so enjoying you being at Mile High 13.
Mile High 13, let's go. I can't
So,
wait to find out what the theme is going to be.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could do Friday the 13th. I don't know if we want to do that. It might scare people away. But we'll have to
Yeah.
come up with something for 13th. Matthew McCoy probably wants us to skip 13 and go to 14 and just, you know, because 13 is an unlucky number. I don't know. It's a
Where
little
does that come from?
superstition, you know. You know, the elevators are missing 13, right?
Yeah.
So
All I know is it's on Dr. Jane Brewer's
there you
birthday.
go. There you go. So there'll be cake. So excellent. Well, everybody, make sure you dial in being at Mile High 13. All right. We'll see what the theme is. There will be outstanding speakers for sure. We have people that are already asking us to speak at Mile High 13. You know, people want to be there each year, but the most important thing is that you will be better with you there and to experience the connection, community, camaraderie of fellow teams, like-minded teams from around the world that want to change spines, minds, and lives together. So thank you, Dr. Patrick, for your contributions to chiropractic and your contributions to Mile High.